Welcome back to the ItsDang channel. It's really disturbed here today to bring you a mini reaction and review of one of the most depraved and disturbed manga I've ever read in my entire life, called Child of God by Nishioka Kyoudai. Now, as you can probably guess, this manga covers a lot of sensitive topics such as abhorrent crimes and very touchy mental health subjects, so if you're not too good with that stuff, feel free to click off the video and enjoy your day. Now, if you're still here after that disclaimer, hi, thanks for staying along for the ride. And with all that being said, let's get into the meat and potatoes. Oh, and you'll occasionally see some of my reactions to the manga pop up here and there in certain panels, so look forward to that as well. Child of God is a short 12-chapter manga that covers the story of this guy, the Child of God, or the Child of the God of Revenge. From an early age, GC, God's child in short, suffered a very turbulent childhood, wrought with several misunderstandings, implied improperly diagnosed mental illness, and just overall disturbing events. As time goes on, GC's evil and depravity just keeps on culminating from being a serial slasher and serial essayer in his teen years and into his adult years becoming a sort of, how do I say this without getting restricted? A leader of an all-boys club doing no good. Child of God sort of explores the theme of the life cycle of a serial slasher through the eyes of the actual slasher himself. At an early age, like I mentioned before, things such as severe mental illness is incredibly implied by the author, where the audience gets sort of a glimpse of some disturbing and concerning behaviors that are sort of indications for future behaviors. Things such as GC's indulgence in fecal matter at a young age, his simulation of large boppings with clay models, his disinterest in human interaction, and of course, the classic, the game ending of his pet cat, something that many people may know as a sign of something a lot more sinister. As time passes on, the acts that GC commits against other people and just acts in general become a lot more depraved and vile, and it seems to all really stem from chapter 3, First Love, where he witnesses and partook in a particular crime in his early age. In the end, after committing several atrocities during his lifetime, damn near every single thing that a person could possibly conjure up in their mind, he gets turned on by his own creation, and the story ends with him getting destroyed by his own creation. Now on to the analysis. Now, while reading that entire summary, basically, you may think that the story is a bit thought-provoking, mature in some sense. But realistically, this story is just a guise to your typical shock factor and edgy material that you see in a lot of these gore-fest horror manga. The story does explore some intricacies of GC's mind at an early age, where they talk about the misinterpretations and misunderstandings GC has of certain actions which he sort of misunderstands as acts of mistreatment done by the people around him against him. Things such as his interpretation of the barber shop and the sticky rice ceremony he partook in as a child. This also kind of explaining the whole God of Revenge thing in chapter 1. The author also looks to explore some themes of mental health and possible untreated mental health at an early age, GC's possible misdiagnosis at an early age in, I believe, chapter 3. However, after the childhood point in his life, and more specifically chapter 3, everything is sort of just incredibly on the nose and lacks any sort of substance. The story kind of reduces itself to a gore/shock fest, where the author sort of just quick fires a bunch of disgusting and vile acts to the audience to sort of scare and disgust the audience. Kind of like a Gary's Mod PNG jump scare you get when you play a Gmod horror map. Like, at that point, you're just fishing for a cheap scare from the audience, you know? Of course, the author attempts to sort of explore other themes, such as the innate evil in humans in GC's teen years, and the power of influence in GC's adult years, but a lot of this kind of just falls flat in the grand scheme of the story, because either GC just straight up tells you in cold hard text on the page, or because of the short length of the entire story in general, everything is sort of just not fleshed out at all. Overall, I think the story could have probably used a couple more chapters to sort of allow the audience to see the progression towards depravity. And of course, if you can tell from my criticism, I think you can definitely tell that I would like a little bit more nuance in some of the messaging they're trying to convey to the audience. Now, in terms of disturbing factor, evidently it is pretty disturbing and grotesque. The story covers the absolute worst crimes you could commit in society. Some of the scenes are just downright nasty and hard to watch. And you know, the subject matter of the manga is just unsettling and uncomfortable to read. I think the most disturbing part, or the thing that sort of amplifies the disturbing factor of this manga, is the choice of art style especially. The manga sort of takes a very unique, surrealist slash Picasso-esque art style that I feel complements the story really well. The art style sort of gives the manga a more otherworldly and unsettling feeling, and just generally speaking, this art style is not typically seen in your normal manga, so it's pretty refreshing to see. It almost feels like you're reading a more wicked and evil version of your typical child's picture book. Now, all in all, I think this manga has a pretty good idea of what it's trying to say, but it sort of kind of falls a bit short because of its short runtime and of course its pretty shallow messaging. The story of course is disturbing and not for the faint of heart, which is, you know, the point of the series, but even though it is disturbing, I probably wouldn't suggest it to a person looking for a good horror manga to read, unless, you know, you really enjoy the art style, which I don't even fault you for, or you just want to feel a little bit sad for the rest of your day or something. Now, thanks for watching the video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next ItsDang video. Peace.